Hello, guys. How are you? You know that I like to get a little bit of eyes on us before we actually start. But happy Thursday. I am streaming from New Jersey today. I always say I never know where I'm going to do a show when I do a show, but this show is coming from New Jersey, my hometown, my home state, and it's super comforting to start something new in the comfort of your surroundings. So I'm really, really, really grateful for that. If you guys are joining me, first of all, thank you for the love and support. If you know somebody who would benefit from Bible Study Live, please tag them, share this. If they're at work and you're like they can't watch it now, or they're putting the kids to bed or whatever it is, encourage them to watch the replay. And lastly, you guys know I love interaction. So drop some hearts, comment, ask questions. We are on StreamYard, and on StreamYard, we don't always get to see all of the comments. So I will always go back and look through everything and interact with you guys. So, okay, let me be transparent. Y'all know you see my face up here a lot. I don't necessarily have a problem talking. However, the level of anxiety that I have had today in preparation for this show was through the roof. I mean, it's a combination of things, okay? First of all, my special guest is somebody who I not only love, I also have such a huge respect and honor for. And it's not just like in one lane. It's not just because he's Pastor Kevin. It's also because he is an author. It's also because he is a producer. And I'm not talking about like, guys, I'm in this entertainment world. So I deal with a lot of producers. No shade to anybody. But he is a producer, like a BET producer, like produce his own stuff, like producer in the industry, has worked with, talked to, navigated spaces with people we all admire in such a graceful way, and also because he's a big part of my faith journey. About 15 years ago, when I decided that I had this yearning, this void in me, I didn't know what it was. I did not know I was seeking God, but I knew where I needed to go. And I went to his church. And then I went to his church every Sunday. Probably the first 6 months, I left crying every time because I was so overcome with the emotion. But it was really the start of my faith journey. So I know part of my anxiety is just the love and respect I have for our special guest. And also because, guys, this new chapter in my life has been something that I have been hesitant to speak about, publicly. For a while, I was in prayer and I did not know if what I currently did in film aligned with the new calling I have on my life, which is simply to make sure I'm incorporating my love of God in everything that I do. And I went through this period where I did not know if it was possible. But when God shows up and answers, man, I remember this particular day, I was like, this is it. I am going to, I'm going to continue my schooling, and we'll talk about that another time. I'm going to continue to learn the word, and I just cannot see film fitting in, not in the way I did it. And I got a script. that I had been waiting for. And when I tell you, the script was for me. The script incorporated so much of faith, so much of God, so much of me. There was no hiding. It was a clear sign that the love of God, your faith journey, is not separate from who you are. There's no separation. And in that moment, I knew that it was time, and Faith It was born. So here we are. I have written a book that I cannot wait to share with you guys at the top of the year. And I have just started this community of believers who are just love-centered, faith-centered, don't know it all, learning and growing together, but open to experiencing God. And so this is something that we're going to do every 2 weeks. It's Bible study live. We are going to talk about the Bible and the word. And most importantly, we're going to integrate it. We're going to learn how to integrate it into our lives. I think that is really important because it's a living, breathing thing, right? And so I know I'm still in study and I was not ready to do this on my own. So I am surrounded by so many amazing spiritual leaders. And tonight we're going to walk through Faith in Action with Pastor Kevin E. Taylor. So guys, join me and welcome me, Pastor Kevin.
Woo! Hey, daughter, what's going on, Queen?
How are you?
I'm so honored by your introduction, and I want you to smile about saying all of that about me as many times I've sat in the audience of your work. So, it's a mutual admiration society.
Thank you for that. So I definitely confided in you a few minutes ago that I have been really anxious and a little nervous about tonight. And that's definitely centered around some fear about what people will think, right?
Right.
I am new. I am still maturing, you know, in the spirit and in my relationship with God, my knowledge of Christ, and sharing it. I didn't know that I would be so nervous to talk about this. Have you experienced this, or is this something that happens?
It's something that. So what's funny for me is you've had this great space. My entertainment journey almost every time, and it has moved simultaneously to a shift in my ministry. I started producing at BET at 90. I started there in 91, began producing in 93. 93 is when I moved into this new spirit space of Unity Fellowship Church movement. 2000 is when I became pastor. 2000 is when I moved to New York to do 106 in Park. So you know what I mean? So there've always been these parallels. So I've almost been called out in each space about the other. I get it, but I promise you, based on what you've been saying to your audience, based on what you've been saying to your fellowship of people, that's what it means when we all get together. I think you will breathe, they will breathe as we see kind of the coalition and the correlation of them. Like your work is moving up because your spirit is moving up. Your spirit is moving up because your work is calling itself to broaden and be bigger and anchoring you because something huge is getting ready to happen.
I received that, and I really see that there's no separation. And I know there are, I know a lot of creatives who their core, their center, where they create from, even if they're not fully aware of what it is yet, comes from God. And sometimes just having the words to express that for creatives is something that's challenging.
Right.
And so I just really want to, be an example, especially in my spaces, just kind of be an example. Woo!
And how many times as creatives, how many times as Sister Peculiar and Brother Weird, have we felt like we were the only one? And so much of Bible study, so much of going into the Word showed me examples of me that calmed me down and made me realize I wasn't the first radical. I wasn't the first game changer. I wasn't the first hucklebucker. I wasn't the first one to move some things out of order and shake up a system. So it's like,
Yeah.
let me calm down. So
Yes.
that helps a lot.
One of the things I love about what we are diving in today, when I sat down and I did my studying, because all I said to you is faith. Like, this is what I want to talk about. And so, I opened my Bible, I started reading, and I said, this resonates with me because it is examples. And I feel like a lot of times there's a lot of talk, right? There's a lot of talk, and some of us, we need that because I'm creative, but I'm also very logical, And so I just felt like it spoke to both sides of me because I saw clear examples of faith in action, which made me go back and look over just the past 6 months of my life. And there's so many times.
And it's so many times, and it's so many ways, and it's so many levels and so many layers. And I'm excited to get into this with you because, this scripture that we're doing tonight has at its first sentence a phrase that, a scripture that people quote all the time. Now faith is the substance of things, no for the evidence of things not seen. We throw it out all the time. And when I had to sit with it the first time 25, 30 years ago in real study, I don't, it's your show. I'm not trying to skip, but what was powerful to me is as artists, as creatives, as people who have done things with and around words, what I had always heard, in Baptist church spaces, at apostolic places, they would say, now faith is the substance of things, hopefully, and everything. And so it was almost kind of like, now, like, pause, I'm trying to give this to you right now. And then it was faith and something. And many times when people quote it, they leave the word now off. So I thought it was now, comma, faith is the substance of things. And to open the Bible and go to the word and it said now faith. And it was like, whoa. Just sit with no punctuation between them. Now is meant to identify as an adjective the kind of faith that we are supposed to be talking about. Not your grandmother's, not some historical, not some old Obobo Shoto way back. It's like, let's have a conversation about where you and faith are right now.
Right now. Yes. So if you could open us up in prayer and then we could jump right in, that would be amazing.
Gracious and eternal Lord God, we come before you tonight to say thank you. We thank you for every open door and open opportunity to engage one another about you, about your grace, your mercy, your peace, your power, your hope, your healing, your help for us. I thank you, Lord God, for my daughter who is opening this new realm of possibility in her creative work. It's not spiritual work for a creative woman. It's her creative work spiritually. Bless this moment. Bless this space. Bless those listening right now or for whom now will be tomorrow or next week. Bless the listener that hearts might open because somebody thinks that their education, their orientation, their background, or what they did earlier today can separate them from this lesson, from this moment, from this grace, from this mercy, from this God. And I ask right now, Lord God, that you would help them set all that aside so that they might drink from this fresh cup of water and be made new, might hear new, see new, speak new, be new. Bless your daughter, Onyx Keisha, right now. Bless every listener. Bless every word we share right now. As we go forward, as we live forward, as we read forward, as we create forward, as we move, live, and have our being forward. You show up. You show out. And we will give you glory. For this and all the things you do so well, Lord God, we lift you up as you lift us up right now. And that is why, without one doubt, while we scream and we shout, that we keep on trusting. For your word is true. You've already done what you said you would do. Ashe, that's power in the blood. Amen. So it is.
Amen. All right. Now, I want to jump right in because I noticed that now faith that popped out to me. So I'm just so amazed that I never heard that before. So let's just I'm ready to
And
learn.
how many? And again, how many times have you heard faith is a substance of things hoped for, and the evidence of things not seen? And the word "now" has been left off. That having to, as you said, give you the opportunity to look back and wonder over the last 3 days, the last 3 months, over this Corona pandemic, and go, "Wow, I am here right now because of all of this stuff that kept me, covered me, comforted me, held me, hoisted me, protected me." In the midst of stuff that has caused 250,000 people to be dead in this country. I have to sit with that now. I have to be in that now, right? You can't be panicking. Listen to me right now. Somebody is afraid to vision, afraid to dream, afraid to aspire higher in November of 2020 when you made it through March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. You can't. You're here now because you are the evidence. You have confidence in what you have hoped for. Lord, just get me through this, and evidence that it happened.
Yes.
And that leaving that now out, just perplexed my mind because it is the thing I feel that has called so many people to be so disjointed in their faith. Their testimony is always about the one time that God did this big thing. When the car was flipping, that big thing when it was in the hospital. God said, let's talk about yesterday. Let's talk about last week, And so many of us talk about the things that we aspired for, we spoke for, that people spoke over us for 2020, as though those things can't still be. Now, you made it through all of the storm and the rain, and there's still days left in 2020. I dare you right now to believe that what was on your resolution list right now, that stuff you were talking when you first came into 2020, because that number sounded so good. X-ray vision, superhero vision, clear vision. I dare you to still believe it and move like it's still possible.
Right.
Right, like you've been through something.
Right. I absolutely. I love what you said about how it's like we're trained to think about like the really big thing or the really hard thing or the biggest thing. Like, I know some people are like, oh, well, you're on this God journey because of breast cancer. And it's like, oh, no. Like, yes, I witnessed God in that. But it's also because of what happened yesterday and what's happening today. And it's a daily witnessing of God moving in my life that has brought me here, not in that big miraculous moment that other people witness. It's in the little things.
Exactly, and it's the big things can shake the trees so that you see all of the leaves that have gotten you to where you are. Yeah. For me, you've heard this times, but let me get this to your audience as it relates to creatives. Creatively, I created Access Granted for BET, and in August of 2001 was on the island of Abaco, Bahamas, with Aaliyah for the Access Granted and for the video shoot for Rock the Boat. I had to preach and got on an earlier flight. I was supposed to be on the flight with her and Eric and Anthony and my friend Chris and Keith and Scott and Gina and Doug. And it was just literally somebody asking for space for her so that she could have her privacy, and I got on that plane with the last footage of Aaliyah alive in my hand, and then all of that TV stuff, as you recall. And then 18 days later, my boss asked me if I wanted, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you prepared to shoot again? And so on Tuesday, September 11th was the first time I got on a plane after Aaliyah. And what some people may know is she had put me on a flight from Newark, and then we had to change it because I lived in Harlem, and the flight she took me off of hit Tower 2. And everybody was saying, he a preacher now because of that Aaliyah thing. Aaliyah was August, 9/11 was September. I became a pastor in January. My becoming a pastor pissed hell off. You know what I mean? It wasn't, oh, look at them getting spiritual now. It's like, oh my God, he has the nerve to be doing all of this. How dare he? Yes. And so we have to be mindful that you piss millions off when you have the nerve to write a book and declare it's going to be a movie, or do your day job and it just because you're supposed to, because the universe made you to be a star, literally, and stars are big, and people don't like stars. Hell gets pissed off at people who dare to walk in their now faith. And as you were saying, this book is, when you ask for something, it's what came right to me, because it's this book, it's this of faith examples, right? And all of them aren't huge, but when you look at it in the context of the kingdom, you go, oh, you know what I mean? It's the stuff of it to be unpacked. It says in verse 4, by faith, Abel brought God a better offering than Cain did. By faith, he was commended as righteous when God spoke well of his offerings. And by faith, Abel still speaks, even though he is dead. What's so powerful about that for me is that it's saying the example is someone understood their relationship with the Most High so clearly that what they brought forth was their best. Even though somebody hated, even though somebody came against them, even though that was their brother, even though they killed him, the example still speaks to this day. Do your best, period. When they talk about you, that means you're headed in the right direction. That's when you're forced to do your best, when you're called and compelled to do your best. And Abel never got to see that. But by faith, he did it. There was no reward. He didn't know generations later people would still be talking about it. He did it because it was what was in the core of his being. That's why you must do what you're called to do, because since time began, somebody has been doing something because it's been in the core of their being. And it's not going to be easy. His brother killed him. It's not supposed to be easy.
Right.
But nobody, what does the song say? Nobody told me the road would be easy, but I don't believe he brought me this far to leave. And so, just again, that you're doing this post, here's what somebody would say that they would say, oh, you're on this path because you endured cancer. The truth is, most people on most movie scripts post cancer would have you being, spending all your money and living a higher life, because you never know when. You never know. And so the movie script would say, be flashy. And you're saying be faithful.
Yes.
That's what that's not the way it's supposed to go. You're supposed to, party but
right.
You're not supposed to, hey, Pastor, can we have one-on-one Bible study?
Right. I am just because I'm learning too. And it's one of the reasons why I encourage, especially people who are maybe in the infancy of their faith walk, to have conversations and to engage, is because so many things are being pulled out, and the interpretation coming just from other people who are sharing your same core belief is so important. So I'm just in awe, because I understand this clearly today. Like, we could switch out these names. I understand it so clearly.
And that's what I've preached before. The fact that this litany of names comes so relentlessly that you could almost, I have preached this and then just kept adding on to the list. We've added on Fannie Lou, added on Coretta, added on Martin, but also added on Mama, also added on Auntie, also added on you. You're not supposed to be. That's the overwhelming thing when you say it to some of your friends and they realize, even in the infancy of their journey, that their lives have already been a testimony. Like they've already been like you got a book published, like you put a plays on, I know, but only 170 people. It doesn't matter. Tyler Perry didn't have that many people at his first play, and he's a billionaire. Keep going.
Keep going.
That you had the nerve to write a script and then audition people and then put it on stage.
Man, I say all the time, like when I first started my career, I was 17. I did not know anything about directing. I just knew that I was an actress and I was auditioning and nobody was producing plays for little brown girls. And it's like, I took all the money I had, and it was like $75. I got the rights to the Colored Museum. I went to the Westfield Elks Club and I said, can I use this space? And I posted up all these postings. Next thing I know, I'm sitting in an audition room with 50 people, most of them twice my age. I had never directed a play then. In that moment, I didn't know that was going to turn into my career, my livelihood, my path. But I had such blind faith then that when I started to have doubt later on in life, I always went back to that moment. If it wasn't
Back up to verse 3. Back up. By faith, we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what is visible. That alone should be the tattoo that every creative wears on their chest. Like,
Yes.
you are taking words that didn't exist before you created the words that shaped the woman that became the character, that became the star of the play. That from nothingness, your fingers start to strum on chords, and the chords make sounds that have been made before but differently. And then words came to you and through you that were inspired by the chords, and then a song that we have to understand that what was formed by God's command was made out of what was not visible. That's what creatives do, right? And so the fact that there is so much faith in the work that we do, because we take all of our hope and dream and belief and aspiration and exaltation and shape it into something, and then like almost like this. That's why you're so nervous. We hand it out to the world, like, please listen. And then, then somebody buys 10 copies at your concert. Somebody buys 1 million from Beyonce, and she still must sit down going, wow, that just happened. I just got off stage where 50,000 people wow, that just happened, because it was formed out of nothing. Here's some paper. Here's empty seats. Y'all come sit in the seats and watch me.
Yes. Seeing God in that and creativity, especially in your own work, I think is really, really important. It helps to not worry so much about the end game, about how it's received. When I am rooted in this is created through me and the core is God, then I don't worry so much about that end result.
Creatives cannot worry about how it is received if we are clear about how it was conceived.
Oh. I feel like
we are blank paper people. We are, press record and do the thing. We are the manifest. I promise. I don't think there are greater examples of God than creatives, because so many people get to do their job and are given something to work with. The creative is given hands. It's like these hands that you cook, the same hands you cook chicken with, the same hands you drive the car with. But I said, now I need these hands to play the piano. I need these hands to write this book. I need these hands to shape the sculpture. I need you. I need you. I need you to do this thing. And that can be overwhelming. I think what's so imperative about the conversation that you're having tonight is how this faith conversation, how the spirituality conversation can anchor creators, because without it, in that quiet space, other stuff gets to speak. Other stuff like doubt and debt and worry and weary get to come in and make you question, who am I? If you spend too much time thinking about who am I to take this picture? Who am I to write this book? Who am I to create this show? It would drive you crazy, because, there are words for it. There's arrogance, there's ego, there's stuff, except why it was conceived. We know what it feels like to wake up in the midnight hour and keep a pad nearby because Spirit spoke while you slept. You didn't know to call it that. You just know that sometimes I get up and stuff comes to me, and you can't can't miss it. And so we are the manifestation of God incarnate. The problem with us as human beings is that we've so belittled what it means to create that we only think in masterpieces instead of thinking about being masterpieces. Right? Like when the word says that you were called for such a time as this, you were called to that space to get the right to the Color Museum to hold that audition, so that somebody twice your age could get a resuscitation of their gift and be like, yeah, I'm supposed to do this. And God would use that young woman to relight my fire. Okay, I was worried about Broadway, and I'm doing this thing closer to home. God brought the gift right here to me, close at home, and it shook somebody back into their being who had tried to let go, who had tried to 9 to 5, who had tried to, well, I guess that's not going to be it. And then something, that they were looking way over there, and bam, it hit them over here. It's that it was made out of the abyss of being and just showed up and manifested. So I just ask some questions.
I'm so like, uh, I'm getting, I don't know if the word is overwhelmed, because it's not a negative feeling. It's like just overcome with.
Right. Well, see, like you said, overwhelm and overcome. It's just overflow. We're filling up and up
Yes.
and learning to speak from overflow.
Yes, yes. So I wanted to ask about, so this idea of faith in action, faith in now, in those moments when we are just really unsure, we really can't find the faith inside of us. Like, what do we do? How do we get back to?
See, I think that we say that because we think that we're so overwhelmed by people, places, things, and thoughts that make us believe that, oh my God, so much is going on. I can't write in this space. I can't blank in this space, right? And often what wakes up the warrior in an artist is another artist's gifts, right? That if I can't write, I go to somebody's music and it allows me to, because I'm not trying to be Patty, I'm not trying to be Stevie, I'm not trying to be Donnie, I'm trying to be healed. I'm trying to be poured into, and how many times in the midst of misery have our people opened their mouths and somebody sang and shook loose that stuff. Somebody, if my great, 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 great grandfather could sing a song that allowed him and brothers who are on the path of the chain gang for a crime they never committed to keep working, then surely, if that woman can stand up at the funeral for that baby that was killed too soon, that's young man lynched, just like Kawan Charles, and somebody opens up their mouth in the middle of the funeral and sings "Soon I Will Be Done with the Troubles of the World," and mother gets to cry out and leave that at the church and leave that anguish, not the pain, not the loss, but just the anguish of having to bury her child in that building. Then she gets to remember that she's mother to other sons and go back and mother. And you get to remember that you've been called to do something. And if he was taken at 15 and you're 50, don't let him catch you with your work undone. There is something in the ways that we can curl up with a book when we can't find our own words that resuscitates us. It's ways that we can turn music. I think that's why we turn music all the way up so that it bounces all around. It like it anoints us and reminds us, because we forget all the words, remind. To remind us is literally to shake your brain awake again. You were called to do that. I know, but I'm tired. Let me remind you. Let me reboot you. Let me resuscitate. Let me revive. Let me replenish. Because you let somebody make you forget why you're here. Not your worth, but the wonder of why you're here. And when you can't, sometimes your being, your body, your spirit can't create because it doesn't have anything. You keep pushing and pushing and pushing and not taking care of you because you said, I got to get this done. And you're not realizing that you're running on empty, and you got to let your body rest, because everything in you is the vessel that you use to create, right? The hand connected to so you got to take a day at the spa, a day to massage, a day to walk in the park to remind you of all the stuff. But we as creatives, get lost in that kind of space where we get stuck because we're stuck, because we are trying to do the thing we're called to do in spite of the fact that our bodies are tired, in spite of the fact that our hearts hurt. You know what I mean? And so there's sometimes you gotta call your best friend and pour a glass of wine and put on some old Nina Simone and some Phyllis Hyman and talk and tell the truth and talk. And then it's 5 hours later, you're going through a box of tissue. You got to shower because you're sweaty and a mess. You get in the shower, rope your hair up, and then you wash it all off and go, there I am.
Yes.
There I am. I was trying to operate through this. I was trying to operate in spite of the stuff when I can't operate until I go through the stuff. That's what we do. I gotta go through all of the work that it's gonna take to clean this off of me. And their creatives built to help us along the way. The music and the magic and the stuff that resuscitate us. Because creators can be real mean to ourselves. You know, we get a spark of a thing and we keep going and going and going because it's all in there. If I would just, it's like, no. You still, no matter what, you only type 60 words a minute. It doesn't matter how fast your brain is. You can't type any faster. So maybe you need to get a voice recorder on your phone and talk it out, but you can't beat your fingers up for not to type fast. You just can't do that. It's creators can be very unkind to ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I have learned to give myself space and grace, and when I was on the grind of my creative career, and I was like, I got to make a name. I would be on set for 18 hours and I wouldn't sleep, and it got to a point where I said, this is not me anymore. I can only do this amount of hours on set because I must love on me. I must give myself that time, or I'm no good to anyone.
Or and you take that spiritually. I am unable to be of service if you have nothing left. And we've lived long enough to see the same story happen in each generation. Some artist who was in the middle of a tour dropped from fatigue and then had to stop the tour and replenish. We've seen it time and time again. And so I marvel that people are finally getting, like Beyonce talking about in this New Vogue interview, about really considering a break, like years, like building it into her life. Because otherwise you just become Janet, who drops out. She just dehydrated. There was nothing physically. Her body was like, before I half fill up, you start, it's the person who keeps trying to fill up gas with the engine movement. It's like you're idling. While you're doing this, you're already burning what you're pouring into yourself. And so we just have to, that's why really like the journey forward really for me is some sort of artist retreat where we don't go to work, where the artist isn't coming to, I'm going to go and paint. I'm going to go. No, that's work for us. I want us to go someplace and be still and be poured into and, and just be replenished, be revived, and I think that takes a lot for us because this artistry can have this very strike while the iron is hot, the artist who writes a book, the author who writes a book, and then while people are reading the book, they ask you when the sequel is coming. It's like, hey, read the book, let the characters live. They're real people to me, but and we're not careful. We end up creating worlds where artists build stuff just for the sake of building. Like as a music industry veteran, I am appalled that like the first or second question that artists get asked now is, who else is on your album? Mm-hmm. It's like, we haven't even talked about my work, my labor, my time, my energy. The first thing is, who else is on this album? It's a marvel if it's just you. Now that's a point of conversation now. Like I was in the basement, I wrote these 20 songs, and when I came out, I was finished. Like it's like, wait, no, you didn't get somebody else's approval. You weren't sure that, so you didn't need a remix. We fatigue ourselves forgetting that there's a scripture that says that your gifts will make room for you and place you before kings and great men. And one of the interpretations is that the gift makes room for the gifter. Like the thing that you've been called to do literally is to push you forward. And as you move it forward, it opens doors and opportunities while you're doing the thing that you do. Tyler Perry is such a manifestation of that. And I find it so funny that people are like, you should be. And I'm like, I mean, it was Medea from the beginning. And if he keeps riding, if this is what keeps coming to him, why do you want him to be somebody else? Because haters are people who would do you differently if they were you. That's what it is. I would make the next sound. Then I would make the wind. He's like, I'm just doing Medea. So you don't like it? Spike is making movies over here. Ava DuVernay is making movie over there. We're doing it. But I want you because you got the biggest accent. You've been given the chance. Oh, no, I made this chance. I wasn't given it. I made this. I
almost had to stand up. Yes. Oh, gosh. Absolutely.
So we will hold each other to these maddening obligations that exhaust us, that fatigue us. Because so many times the creative can believe that they are the vessel that is looking for the right vehicle. If somebody would sign me, if I could just get the right break. And I'm like, but how about the vision that you have be big enough to cause the right break? By faith, Enoch was taken from this life so that he did not experience death. He could not be found because God had taken him away. For before he was taken, he was commended as one who pleased God. And without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. Like, dare to believe that you're called to do the thing, not to be signed to the motel. Do what you do so well that motel comes looking for you. Do what you do so well that somebody makes a lane for you. Do what you do so well that somebody is compelled to make space for you, because you've already created the space. They just want to be standing there saying, I knew you was going to be big, you know? People don't like Ludacris got signed because he had sold 300,000 albums with Disturbing the Peace in Atlanta. Sir Mix-a-Lot got signed because he sold a double platinum. He sold 2 million copies of the album in California, Oregon, Washington. Just he was platinum on the West Coast. So somebody had to grab him and give him opportunity because he had already done the work. Write the book, write the vision, make it plain. Write the book and sell it on Create Space. Write the book and start the website. So many creatives really, if we're not careful, want approval, right? I'm good enough, right? And then we give ourselves away in this unexpected, unintended quest for affection and attention. We got to insert boldness into creativity, because sometimes it plays so delicate. It's so delicate.
Yeah.
That's how we still have stories in 2020 of people going broke because my business manager stole all my money. It's like, baby, how we still having that kind of story? Don't you sign all your checks after Toni Braxton went bankrupt twice? Bill Cosby told her, baby, you got to sign every check. That people have been telling them, artists, all along, but they're still kind of, I just want to spend I don't care about the business part. And they say that out loud sometime, and then all of a sudden some financial advisor comes along who knows you don't get nothing about the business part of it. And then next thing you know, you're signed to a deal with somebody who's actually signed to the label. And so, yeah, this by faith is the engine to the train that we should be listening to while we write, while create, because at the end of the day, I mean, we give so much of ourselves in the manifestation of the gift that we should spend every day. We should end up every day tired. I think creatives, because we can, do some of the other things in excess to try to keep ourselves up, we almost forget about the vehicle. We almost forget about the vessel. Like, go to sleep, meditate, bring it down so it can pour into it again. It's like, no, I gotta go. Just, I'll stay up with my friends, we'll party, and then I'll pass out. I didn't have any control of that. And then I get up, and then I'm already behind schedule. I gotta dive back in because the sun is up. And it's like, no, that's not how creativity works, but it's how the script keeps getting played out,
Right.
Just exhausted. And without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists. You must believe in the thing before, like, they must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek it. Like, there must be this relationship, and that for us is such the manifestation of the blank page vision. We believe something that we don't see. You have to hear your friend say that, like, you wrote this, like it was blank page, and you just put your fingers in, and you wrote it. You did this, like you had to do the script, and you laid out how people are saying, and you cast these people, like, and then don't talk about it. We do all of these things that leave us in balance, as opposed to, this is my gift, and then you just take people's words as just kind of, praises to God, because you're like, I remember the blank page. And it just coming to me and coming through me. So say what you need to say. I'm in awe too.
Yes. So this I guess is a phrase, but by faith, which is all through this chapter. that resonates so much with me. And just to see it repeated over and over, it's like by faith, because sometimes we think it's like something else. It's by money, it's by knowing somebody, it's by, you know, all of these other things that the miracle or the magic or the art is created, and we don't really understand that it is by faith. And so these examples, like I said, really hit home for me, because sometimes, you know, sometimes we forget. I'm that artist who used to be like, well, I need somebody to, or what did this person think? And I learned early on that no, I need to create my own lane. And it's no longer about somebody giving it to me. And so when I'm teaching, I'm like, create it. Like, gone are the days we were waiting for like HBO to pick us up. Gone are the days where we're like, we need somebody to validate us and give us an advance. Gone are those days.
And so it can be so overwhelming, because for me, the journey happened from moving from my good government job to BET. And I promise you, the little black kid in DC projects, I was like, oh my God, I work at BET. This is gangsta. And then, you know, then every once in a while, like CDs come in, you're like, I just get the CD for free. This is what I use my paycheck on, the CDs. Now we just get them. And so you're sitting in this space and sitting in this space. So to be sitting in a space where my boss says, so, music researcher, I want you to go home and write questions for Natalie Cole. I'm sorry. This is, you know, like you have to be ready at all times, because you never know. You said waiting for HBO to pick you up, but what if you're the intern inside of HBO and you're like, I just work here. I'm just glad to be close. And God's like, I didn't bring you this close to leave you. So are you ready? And so write the questions. Here's my offering. Questions for Natalie Cole. You know, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is the greatest thing God has ever done. God goes, really? Watch this.
Wow.
So, Natalie Cole was the first Black artist of all Black artists to win Best New Artist. Natalie Cole had a degree in psychology. Yeah, I didn't know any of this. Okay, so I've decided who's doing the interview with Natalie Cole. Ooh, Donnie Simpson. It's gonna be Natalie Cole and Donnie Simpson. You. I'm sorry. What for? What show? I don't know. Created. Wait. Do you understand what that did to my brain? I went into the bathroom after I left her off. Cindy Mahmoud, wherever you are, Cindy Mahmoud, I love you. Cindy Mahmoud. After I walked out of her office, I went into the bathroom, into the handicap stall, because I knew I was going to collapse. It was one of those 5, 4, and then by faith, God says, remember all those times you used to interview her on the couch in the projects when you were inside with asthma and your brothers were outside in the summer? Here it comes. Talk like that. Don't talk like, oh, this is what other people talk like on talk show. You talk like that. And then that opened that, you know, it became a show called Lyrically Speaking. And then that opened the doors for Luther Vandross to come up to her and say, hey, I'm getting ready to do a new album. I want to do that show that Natalie Cole. Hey, we got a new album. We got a new project with Anita Baker. We want her to do. Hey, Lena Horne is good. Hey, Patty. Hey, Stevie Wonder. Hey, come to Germany and Denmark with Tina Turner. It's like, wait, what? Me? How? And it's because of that relentless litany of by faith that had already existed. By faith, Louise, a woman of a sharecropper in Mississippi, moved to Washington, D.C., bore 6 boys, and one went to. By faith, Curtis began. By faith, now, you know what I mean? And then every time this is one of these scriptures. Let me tell you, Queen. I maybe 3 times in my ministry have gone to this, because that by faith list, I start reading it, and then all the other by faith start coming out. And I'm telling you, just as you felt the list and it overwhelms a room. And you go down the list and you just insert by faith. Carl Bean stepped out and developed a Unity Fellowship Church movement and said, yeah, by faith. Zachary rode a bike around New York and started a New York. By faith, by faith. And you start putting in real people's names, and they're like, right. It took faith to develop this play. By faith, Onyx fighting through cancer, got up, and by faith, Noble Jew, by faith, Michelle. And people are just kind of like, that's what it is. Because as you see in 7, go back to 7, it says, by faith, Noah was warned about things not yet seen. And in holy fear, he built an ark to save his family. By his faith. By his faith, he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness that is in keeping with faith. Like literally, if you go back and reread the story of Noah, people are thinking about people don't think about the ridicule he was enduring from people
Right.
like, what is wrong with you? Where are you getting this from? Why are you building this? You look ridiculous. And he had to keep banging by faith. It wasn't raining. He wasn't hurrying to get the boat built because it was, under an umbrella. It was dry and desert. And by faith, look at that fool. What are you doing? I'm writing a play. She writing a play. What are you, Lorraine Hansberry? What do you know why the cage burst? What are you? What? Because we get that people don't know the ridicule that gut checks you while you were doing a thing on blank paper in a blank room. He's building, and people are ridiculing him,
Right.
and something has to tell him, keep going. Something, keep going. Something, keep going. I'm building this big boat for all the water that's coming. We're in the desert. I'm building it for the water that's coming. We're in the desert. Building for the water that's coming. By faith, Abraham, when called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, obeyed and went, even though he didn't know where he was going. Right? It's that simple moment when I don't know if anybody's had the moment. Again, this for me is the moment when the creative is pulled up out of our bed at 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
And go to the computer. You don't even have to turn the lights on. You might hit your foot, you might not. Turn the computer on, you bang something out, you sit up in the bed, you type it, and then just send it to yourself, and then go back to sleep an hour later. And then you wake up and go, now what was this? You don't remember. You almost sometimes forget about it in your sleep because you feel so compelled out of this subconscious, this unconscious mind. And then you wake up and go, what are these? What are these song lyrics? Did I just write the next paragraph of the play? What did I do that? Because you didn't even know where you were going. You didn't even know what you were doing, but you were so compelled, so moved, so possessed, so occupied by something beyond your physical that we almost don't even get. Go to the next. Watch what the next of that was. He said he didn't even know where he was going. By faith, he made his home in the promised land, like a stranger in a foreign country. He lived in tents, as did Isaac and Jacob, who were his heirs with him in the same promise. It's like, this is so. It says he built it, and then he had these kids here who had to catch hold to daddy's dream, not based on its manifestation, but by dad's belief in it. And there are friends who believe in it because you so, the book isn't finished, but read these 2 pages. And
Yes.
Oh, girl, keep writing. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm telling you, one of the greatest moments I've ever had on it are when people close to me. One of my Bristers, Starlet, called me once. One of my ministers, but is also my baby lesbian woman. She called me. She's like, "God damn, Reggie, get on my nerves." I go, and I'm thinking, "Girl, lesbian? Who's she talking about? Her partner's not named Reggie. It's one of her. She's only got girl. Who is Reggie? Are you calling me about a character in my book? Are you serious?" Oh yeah. And then we talked for like half an hour. And I was like, whoa, my lesbian sister read this Black gay romance novel and was like, oh, these characters, oh, I want to fight, Or my friend who took me out, who came over to my house and brought dinner and said, so tonight we're going to cast Because He Lives from first person to last. I just see this as a movie and I'm like, wow, that people can grab hold of your vision and want to take it deeper. That my best friend called me once and he's like, these last 2 chapters of this book are brilliant. It's like, I'm dizzy with this. And I was like, what? How are you saying this about me? And I'm your best friend. You know what I mean? And it's like, you just have these moments where sometimes we miss that. We miss it so much in trying to get this kind of approval that we miss this one. We miss the moment of your best girlfriend going,
yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ooh. And we don't take it as like, oh, I know. Oh, it's like, no, you're just being my bet. Stop and receive this. Stop and receive this. You did this by faith, and by faith, I'm pouring into you. I want you to keep going. If it was wrong, I'd cuss you out. If it was wrong, I'd tell you clearly. So you got to know if it's right. You got to let me pour into you, because other people are coming with cups, and I'm coming with a jug.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm gonna tell you the truth, I'm gonna tell you something.
Yeah.
Because I know all the time and all the energy and all the tears and all that. So let me pour this jug into you. Because
Yeah.
they just getting this glitzy ticket bar stuff. I know that you started this a year ago. Come on, receive this.
Yes.
Because when they say, "Ooh, I guess all your hard work paid off," they were here for 3 weeks. 3 weeks of hard work called rehearsal. I've been here for 3 years of development.
Yeah.
I bet you better get. I bet you better shout right now with me in this audience. Let's not wait till Sunday till we get to church. Let's not wait till we get home and get drunk. Here, without wine in hand.
Yes.
And it's by faith. I'm telling you. I remember preaching this once in the cathedral on Rutgers campus, the Kirkpatrick Chapel, which is where Paul Robeson studied on the Queen's campus. And I remember preaching this one Sunday, and it was the scripture itself became the sermon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the list started, then you start to insert other names, you start to insert people's stories that they come to the altar, and it just became like 120 by faith. No sermon ever came out. Just somebody's mama screamed, somebody's grandmama passed out, because it was just like, this thing right here, you should be able to walk into a room and say it, and people should just start feeling uncomfortable because they're reminded. I dismissed my mama's journey of not living in her dream, though she had the money to send me to college, because she was doing that washerwoman work by faith. I just want to have my kids be able to do whatever they want. But Mama, I want you to have a house. Baby, all right, that's your dream. For me, that wasn't my dream. My dream was for my kids to be successful. So for my doctor baby, my director baby to be standing here right now, you know what I mean? It's like, that's her by faith moment. And to see that manifest is something that people can't pay for. You just pray for, like, ooh, it's my baby. It's my baby. And so I have seen this particular chapter just do a thing that I don't think anything else has. You know, there might be a scripture or two that people know, no weapon formed against me shall be able to prosper. You know, we know a couple of them that have caused you to do that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is going to be a good word. This I've seen preached by itself. By faith. Because all you have to do is that. By faith. By faith. You know, because bring up the next one. Let's see. Let's just see it. You know, because it's really, so by faith, yeah. No, go back one. Let's see. Yeah, so 10 is still part of Abraham. Let's go to 11.
Did you see
let's go 2 forward. Yeah.
12?
Yes. So wait, what was 11? Yeah, it should be the beginning of 11.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, well, so we're still on. So, and see, and by faith, see, even Sarah, see, so it's like, it's talking about, it almost has this moment about how, I'm talking loud right now, so I'm excited about the scripture. It almost has this moment here where it's virtually a faith spillover, faith partnership. By faith, Abraham did all this, and by faith, even Sarah, like the woman beside him, his wife, who had been past childbearing age, was able to bear children because she considered him faithful, who he made the promise. He made the promise that, and even when she laughed about it, they stand to see it make manifest, and it didn't make any sense. And from this one man, and he who is God, and he as God as dead, came descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as countless as the sands. He said, He said, nations will be born from you. To the man who had no children, he said it to him when he abandoned his wife twice and said, "That's not my wife, that's my sister." He said, "See, you're gonna clean that up and get back up and keep moving by faith." We dismiss faith so frequently because we haven't often done the work to determine what it is. Let's have it. I just want to see if I could real quick. Let me do something real quick. Let me do something real quick. Pop. No, that's not it. Tap. Yeah. Okay. Let's open up a Google and see what faith actually means. Let's see what some sort of dictionary version of it is.
Yeah. This would be interesting.
Because it's just, it's an interesting conversation because, I remember preaching once that faith's last name is not Evans. It's like we want it to be something common and tactile. And it says complete trust and confidence in something or someone. It's like, that's it. And we don't want to hear that because all of that. We want a long effluvium. We want to. It's complete confidence or trust in someone or something. I put my faith. Oh, baby, I have faith. I have faith in you. By faith. All right, by faith. Would you say, Lord, keep writing? Would you say go to bed? Would you say stop writing because it's 4:30 and I haven't eaten all day? So just save it, because otherwise if I get up, the computer might shut out and then I have lost it. So save it and keep saving it along the way, or write it in Google Docs, which saves it automatically every 30 seconds. You know what I mean? It's like it becomes this consistent conversation. I have complete confidence in you. Yes. So I need you to be prepared for what I'm about to do for you. Yes. And I need you to be here to do it. Yes. So I need you to stop right now and take a break and stretch and then get something to eat. Okay, God. I have faith in you that I think I'm on a roll, but you're not going to take this roll away from me because I take a break and take care of myself. So
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That fear that
I must sacrifice everything.
Man, let me tell you, I don't even like the word sacrifice. I tell people don't use that word with me. We need to find another word, because I just feel like it's overused, and we convince ourselves that we must sacrifice or we're not going to get the blessing. And that doesn't resonate with me and for what I know God to be.
Let me help you with something real quick, daughter. Matthew 9:13 says, but go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. When I read that thing, I'm telling you, it was a lay down in the floor cry, because I have lived a life that has involved so much sacrifice, the childhood responsibility, helping all these couples with their relationship while I'm single, because I got to do this, and I'm doing homelessness and church and writing. And when God says, hey, I want you to be able to give to people from mercy, that it's been done for you, not from sacrifice. I expect you to be alone and lonely while you do this. You made that up. You made that up. People say it's hard, and you believe them. So it would be hard to date you. You're the powerful. When my son, when my son says to me, my son who's adopted, my son, because people are trying to, hey, son, what's happening? So my son, who I adopted at 13, who has been in my life and has been, I think, my salvation, because I know what it's like for my son to say to me out loud, Dad, you know everybody. And I go, son, I promise you I don't. And then I take him to a Natalie Cole concert. And I know Natalie Cole, and I know I'm going to take him backstage. But this night she turns the lights up and goes, I've got some friends out here, Kevin, where are you? And I'm going, he's going to. And I was like, son, I swear, she has never done this. I've been going to concerts since the 80s. She has never done this. And he's like, and so it becomes this kind of so for the example of my son, I got to go and go and go. And then my son asked me for his 18th birthday. I allowed my son the gift of every year every day for 365 days for the year he turned 18. He could ask me a question before he went to bed about anything. Nothing was off limits. I thought he'd ask about drugs, and the gay manager was like, women, how did you know what is your favorite food? All of this kind of stuff. My son sat down one day. He said, Dad, are you single because of me? And I'm saying, oh. I mean, he gut checked me in a way that I couldn't breathe for the first 30 seconds. I was like, oh my God. I have to have this conversation out loud with somebody. And it's the person who is the most vulnerable to my life. And I'm like, yes. I mean, I wanted you to know you were my priority. I wanted you to, I know what it feels like to hear you come home and panic because you don't see me because my office is in the basement. And the next day I moved my laptop upstairs so you didn't freak out coming into the house to no one. And he just asked me simply, then how am I supposed to know what love looks like if I never see you in love? And I was like, yeah, okay, God, okay. God goes, so how's that sacrifice thing working for you, boy? Huh? How's that working? I was like, yeah. Okay, help me, Lord, help me, because little boy from the projects who has gone to work for his favorite station and his first, this is like that's my first interview. It's my favorite singer on the planet Earth. This picture is just in my office. This is always in my office, Wow. Me and Natalie Cole in 1993, and for him to ask me that and then meet her and she says, hi, I guess I'm your Aunt Natalie, and I'm with my niece on a plane, and She's like, Uncle Kevin. She goes to use the bathroom. She comes back. She goes, Ray J. Oh my God, Ray J is in first class. I saw him move. I was like, oh Lord, when we get off this plane, let me just go. I was like, I only, I know Brandy. I don't really know Ray Tether. And then we go, and he opens the curtain. He goes, Uncle Kevin. And I was like, how does he remember me as Uncle Kevin? I've only met him twice with Brandy Tucker. So you know what I mean? Just those moments where life seems so big that I thought that the sacrifice must be that some parts of my life get small. I remember Cyrus Bean said this to Olivia Pope on the first season of Scandal when they were fighting, when she was struggling about wishing she could have a simpler life with Fitz, who was president.
Mm-hmm.
And Cyrus said, some men don't get to be happy, they get to be great.
Mm.
And I thought, there it is. Honestly, that line haunted me for a year because that's what I thought. I get to be great. I get to be great. I don't necessarily get to know a happiness that comes home to a meal already cooking or da 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 da. And so, yeah, a lot of us as creative beings struggle with the word sacrifice because if it's not something that's playing in our ear, it's the way that we're pouring out from our hearts. Like I gotta do it. People relying on me. I gotta make a new album. I gotta do this thing because people eat when I work, and so it becomes a thing where we almost move in an autopilot and then forget that we're the pilot.
That is profound to me. We forget that we are the pilot. We're just on autopilot. I started to say things like, "This is a self-imposed deadline, and if I put this deadline." I can change it unapologetically.
Unapologetically.
Yeah.
Hey, I thought the book was coming out blank. It was. It's not coming out till next year now.
Yeah.
I just decided. That's it. I mean, I'm good. You're like, okay, I'll wait. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, do you have just any kind of last words just centered around by faith or now faith, specifically for our creatives?
So again, we let's go back. Let's do both of them real quick.
Okay.
So first, I want you to not minimize the impact of now faith because it might have been a lean year. Some of you as creatives, the gig that you were looking for, was on your plate and then got taken away by the times. So some things have happened along the way that have almost made you lose faith. Think that faith isn't for you because of who you are and who you love and da 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 da. And I want you to take all of that and ball it up into a tight, packed snowball and hold it coldly in your hand because now faith is where you had to get what you had to go through to get to the fact that you're still here. Some of you with no health insurance. Some of you have been sick and sick before COVID and somehow got up anyhow. Some of you have danced through broken feet, not brokenness. Some of you have danced through broken feet and brokenness. Some of us are created with layers of pain and hurt on us. They've still been able to get here, still been able to be here, still been able to make it through. And something in some story you heard on the news back in July is actually getting ready to inspire a whole new script from you. And you've got to be willing to receive it in your now faith.
Yes.
Right? And be able to do it without the guilt of how could I write about this stuff people went through? So, yep, people went through and people came out. Write the story of the come out. Write the story of the get up. Write the story of the perseverance. Write the story of the endurance because you didn't think what you endured was enough. So how about this? Now you've endured a pandemic. Not some tiny, because you're old enough to endure the AIDS pandemic, and now this one. If you don't do it now, you're gonna have to perform your new piece in heaven. So by your now faith, pour out of yourself like you can't imagine was doable, is doable through you. And when you don't think your now faith is enough, remember that by faith, Lorraine Hansberry wrote. Remember that by faith, James Baldwin went on TV and they were ready to kill him. And remember that by faith, Dr. Maya Angelou, and by faith, Aretha Franklin took the church into the concert hall. By faith, James Brown did some things with his feet that people didn't think were by faith. Carmen de Lavallade and Jeffrey Holder. By faith, Alvin Ailey. By faith, Arthur Mitchell. By faith. Remember, see, we better stack up these ancestors because you've got the unmitigated arrogance to think you're the first one. Some of these people wrote stuff in the midst of Jim Crow. in the midst of hatred. And you got the nerve to play quiet and small because you done been through stuff. I dare you to speak to some of your ancestors and remember the stuff that they endured. Go get your ass off your seat and write. Matthew 21, Jesus said, go to the farmer there and have him to send me an ass. And if he questions it, tell him it's for me. Because Jesus rode into town on what we now call Palm Sunday on an ass, so that he was moving slow and sitting low and was approachable. So that people can say, I heard about that Messiah, but he was so high and lifted up on a horse that I asked him to pray for me. It scared the horse and it ran off. It's slow and low, slow and low. Get off of that thing and then take back the church. See how he did it? Everybody could touch him and see him and receive him. And by faith, your mama picked cotton. By faith, your great-great-grandmama endured because that master raped her and she kept the baby anyhow. By faith, you are here. By faith, you are breathing and receiving and able. And you would do the ancestors a disservice to get disjointedly slowed down by the fact that you're tired. I don't feel no ways tired. I've come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me the road would be easy, but I don't believe God brought me this far to leave me. By faith, put on some old records so you can remember that somebody crafted blues and crafted soul and crafted hip hop. And you get to write something, you get to create something new. That's what we're called to do. You listen to stuff now that somebody had to conceive. Somebody had to conceive hip hop. Somebody had conceived jazz. Somebody had conceived these things. And we dismiss them because we believe, oh, there's only 8 chords. Oh, there's nothing new under the sun. The thing that doesn't have your name on it is the new thing that the world is waiting for. I don't walk past these books when I see them and I go, oh, that book has my name. Oh. What kind of arrogance would it be for me to, oh, that book, see, that get off your ass and do something, wrote a book about it. When you see it, there it is. Because we're called to do the thing on purpose, with purpose. And sometimes I think it was Angela Robinson Whitehurst, who plays Veronica Harrington on The Haves and the Have-Nots, was with me on my when I do. She was one of my guests on 11/11 at 11 when I bring people on to interview them. And she said part of what has happened for people is that people have mistaken creativity for competitivity. How can I get some of that Tyler Perry money? How can I get some of that Janet Jackson? How can I get some of that? And so you look at somebody, and we literally have started to see industries be built on people who are carbon copies, lesser copies, a labeled version of somebody else, right? It was married. It was Mary and Faith. It was Mary and Faith. It was Mary and Faith. And Keisha Cole and Mary. And everybody's like, yeah, she needed to be a little hood. She needed a little tomboy. And all of a sudden, we started to see all of these mini Marys and mini Arethas. But remember that Luther Vandross's "A House Is Not a Home" was 6 minutes and 11 seconds of a ballad that played in the middle of the disco era on the radio. Remember that 86 when Sade and Anita Baker came out, that it was hip hop's turn, but they found a way to wear a crown. That Natalie Cole's Unforgettable album sold 14 million copies in the middle of the grunge era with Nirvana and REM. They showed the people were mad that Unforgettable walked away with the album of the year in the middle of this rock revolution, because your spot will make room for you when you are bold and ballsy enough to go get your spot.
Yes.
Ain't no pardon me, excuse me, pardon me. That's my spot. That's my spot there, and I'm climbing to my spot. And I won't stop moving till I get to my spot. That doesn't mean I won't take breaks. That won't mean I won't take care of myself, but I won't stop moving till I get to my spot. And every time you think your spot is unattainable, remember all the people who sit in their spots by faith. I call the name Nina. I mean, when I remember, so people, Nina Simone is one of those artists that is so in the, that is so in the lexicon, so in the lyric of who we are. And it's people, but I really, there's so many people who don't really know Nina Simone. They don't know her music. They know a song or three. I went to see a movie called Point of No Return starring Bridget Fonda. You hear me? Bridget Fonda. White girl Bridget Fonda.
Mm-hmm.
I went to see the movie because I like those kinds of spy movies. That's the only reason I went. It's a spy movie, and that's all I knew. It's good. It's going to be a good thing. She was a spy who had been trained to kill people. But her code name was Nina because her drug-addicted mother would leave her for hours and sometimes days on her own with Nina Simone on loop. And Nina Simone's music was the soundtrack of the movie. And I had never heard Nina. I might have heard My Baby Just Cares for Me and a Chanel No. 5 commercial. And I might have heard, I don't know, Feeling Good or one other song just somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But just relentlessly, these songs played. I got up out of that movie theater and went into the then Tower Records and bought everything that had Nina Simone's name on it. Everything. So badly, so much so that I bought the same album, Nina Simone Live at the Village Gate, twice because they had two different colors. So I thought she must have just gone to the Village Gate twice. So I bought both of them. And then I got them home and played them. I just gave one to somebody else because I was like, here, you can have this because I got two of them.
Uh-huh. Wow.
So I just want to remind the body of people that you love from this creative space enough to give them this creative moment. See how she put that at my spot. And you know what I love most about this? That my spot is landing under you. This is my spot. The enemy thought he had me, but I got away. Cancer thought he would take me, but I'm in my spot.
Mm.
Somebody told me, don't do that. It'll mess up your my spot.
Mm.
My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. And if some people can't handle the combination of, queen you, lesbian you, creative you, faith you, then good time to thin the herd now, before your millions come in, before your movie debut, before you go to LA, huh? Good time to clear them out now. That's why God's having you do this, because something great is getting ready to happen. And some people are going, I can't rock with that. Okay, glad I know now.
I have nothing to say. That has taken my words at the moment. It truly has. I thank you. I needed this conversation as much as I wanted to offer it. And I thank you for just accepting the invitation and blessing us tonight. I'm I'm always emotional. But this is a different type of emotion. And I'm really grateful. Thank you.
And I don't, we have been family forever. And you saw me take this off of the sticks because I know that when we start talking this kind of stuff, that there are creatives who have not had the opportunity to live fullness and see it manifest. So I wanted to take this off the sticks and turn this camera this way so that people could see that wall. See, so that they don't think that we're talking Christian hyperbole. They don't think that we're talking some sort of stuff that doesn't make manifest, that they understand that that preacher me, teacher me is also producer me, bless me. That this isn't some sort of platitude. This is about really hearing that I have in my ear somebody saying to me, this may not be how it happens, but it's how it's happening for you.
Yes.
People on this BET, when I did Lyrically Speaking, was in 80 million households. And I had to sit at home and sketch like the show open and go, I see like a piano player at balled up paper like he's in the creative process. And then the journal on the top is his writing book with song. Then there's a collection of songs that all sing about singing songs. For you, I sing this song. I listen to my song. I write a song for you. And they were like, oh my God, this is brilliant. You know what I mean? And it's just, I'm like, I don't know. It's just, and then I want the letters to come on like they're coming on a keyboard. Like, where'd you get this from? I don't know. It just came to me. You know what I mean? And then it opened this world where like moments happen. Like Luther Vandross walked in the room and went, I liked your questions. They were excellent. Let's go. And I was like, what? You saw them? I thought 8 people would read them before. Nope, they came directly to me. I like them. Let's talk. And, you know, and here it is, y'all. Here it is, real quick. So the moment, like, here's a lifetime, and maybe my moment is poured into you to give you the moment, like I got a moment. I was in Denmark interviewing Tina Turner, and she was talking about her song "Let's Stay Together," first single after she had left Ike, run away from Ike, and I talked about how it became an American hit when it had been recorded in the UK, and she had no record deal. And she said, you know, a DJ in America who was really influential got a copy of it and started playing it, and then started telling other DJs to play it. And then she said, you know, it was really popular and it changed everything for me. And she said, his name. And then she does like this, like, I can't remember his name. I can't remember his name. And I promise you, Onyx, this is how it happens. I want somebody who is afraid, who thinks somebody told you you're too much, you're too loud, you're too this, you're too that. In that moment while she was doing this, I swear God said, hey, listen, you ready? Let's go. Because she doesn't know, and you know. Give it to her. I said, give it to her. And I was like, well, how? And so she went, I can't remember his name. When she came back, she looked at me like, okay, I'm embarrassed. Let's move on. And in the moment eyes locked, I said, like I mouthed his name. And how many of us have tried to mouth something to somebody and they go, I can't, or just didn't get it. In that moment, she went, Frankie Crocker. Yes. She said he was quite handsome. I said he still is. Again, my sense of freedom. And we kept talking. And then back in the day, we had digital tape that was only 30 minutes, per segment. And we went through 4 of them. So we had to change tape. And when we went to change tape, she looked at me and she said, I like you. You're different. You're not like everybody. And I was like, why is she saying that? Because I'm all nervous. The team turned We finished the interview. We double kiss. She leaves. And I go to my executive producer, Verna Dickinson, now Verna Kutzlow. I was like, Verna, what does she mean? Because, you know, we're so tender in our spaces as creatives that we don't even know what approval looks like while we're getting it. I said, I don't get it. Why did she say that I was different? Because our different has always been an insult. You know, you're not like, girl, why couldn't you just cut your hair, just perm it, you know? And so I'm like, what does she mean? And she said, Kevin, you didn't understand what just happened, did you? I said, no. She said, every other journalist would have said that name out loud to get credit, and you gave it to her. You gave it to her. When a Black woman was on a Black network talking about a Black man whose name she forgot, you gave it back to her. Don't you understand that most people's ego would have just wanted her, saying thank you, darling, and you gave it to her. That's what she meant. You did what nobody else would have done. That's what she meant by different. I got up, and every tear from the fat, Black, asthmatic, gay nerd from the projects that I had been holding in me came out in the streets of Copenhagen, Denmark. And I mean, I walked around a block and I nasty snot cried because this woman I'd never met said to me that something that people who know me every day never said. And then what got really powerful is going there. I was like, God, this is Tina Turner. She's been interviewed, 100,000 times. And God said, if you trust me, listen for my voice and you'll know it. So when that happened, I was like, so I thought that I was getting, getting the gift of doing the interview. And the truth is she had a gift for me.
Yes. Wow.
So I'm looking forward to what you do after this.
Thank you. I would love it if you could end in prayer. You guys that are watching, just thank you so much. I'm looking at the comments and I love the conversation. And let's keep it going. Thank you for joining us for the first episode of Faith It. All right.
Ooh, by faith, Lord God, we come before you tonight to faith it. Faith the fear, faith. That's all. Faith the fear, faith the possibility of being brilliant, faith our greatness and move into our greaterness. By faith, we swear and declare we will finish the project before the end of the month, before Thanksgiving, so we have something to be thankful for real by the end of the year, so that 2020 isn't this history of pain and loss. By faith, we faith it. We faith our fear. We faith our writing. We faith our gifts. We faith it. We faith the favorite pen that we lost and now we found it under the bed just today, just before this conversation. We faith the idea that got away from us, but this came back to us in the middle of this conversation. We faith it. We faith our brilliance. We faith our creativity. Not that it's some lackadaisical thing that our corporate or non-creative friends and family think we don't have the right to do. We faith it because in this we are the vessel, the manifestation of all things you, Lord. We thank you. We thank you for Onyx Keisha tonight. We're thankful that after all she's been through, she had the nerve, the gall, the audacity, capacity for audacity to faith it. We're excited about what she's about to do. I'm so excited about what you're about to do through her and all who are listening right now. We faith it. We lift up our hands in faith that we open our hearts in faith that we open our mouths in faith that we remind our minds and we faith it. Great things are on the way through me. And as we say at my service every Sunday for the last year and a half or so, I desire what I deserve. And I deserve what I desire. I desire what I deserve, and I deserve what I desire. I desire what I deserve, and I deserve what I desire. I desire what I deserve, and I deserve what I desire. I desire what I deserve, and I deserve what I desire. I desire what I deserve, and I deserve what I desire. Last time, I desire what I deserve, and I deserve what I desire. Use me.
Use me.
Send me.
Mm-hmm.
I am available for this and all the things you do so well, God. Lift me up.
Yes.
I lift you up right now. And that is why, without one doubt, I scream and I shout that I keep on trusting. For your word is true. You've already done what you said you would do. Ashe. Amen.
Amen.
So it is.
Thank you. I love you. And
I love you, Queen. I'm so blessed to have this conversation. There's some things that you fortified for me just in being able to talk about them again and again. So thank you.
Thank you. Until next time.
Until next time.
Yes.
Bye, beautiful.